I'm James Lupton, this is Slothbox, and you're watching the preview show. In this week's episode, I'm joined with former WBC Bantamweight World Champion Wayne Mccullough as we discuss, analyse and break down the upcoming battle between Mick Conlan and TJ Doheny, which takes place on the 6th of August at Falls Park, Belfast.
So we'll go straight into it. I'll say Michael Conlan versus TJ Doheny, August 6th, Falls Park, Belfast, Super Bantamweight. I couldn't do this without speaking to an Irish super bantamweight. Wayne Mccullough, thank you for joining me today. First of all, how excited are you for this fight coming up?
It's a good fight for Michael. And Michael's, he's stepping up. Every fighter has to step up. Doheny's a former world champion. Had that tough fight. I was actually at it against Roman. It was a great fight, and he's durable. But maybe a good time to get him. He's 34 years old, so Conlan's 29, but he's stepping up the ranks still. But I think it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight that both guys can win. And, Doheny may think it's a fight that it's his last hurrah. So if he thinks like that, he's going to fight even harder. But I think for Michael Conlan to take the fight, it's a great thing.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, like I mentioned there, Falls Park, Belfast. It's in Michael Conlan's back garden, really. He's from Belfast. TJ's from, I believe I'm pronouncing this right, Portlaoise. I'm sure you'll correct me. Fantastic. I think it's his first time fighting in Ireland as a professional as well for TJ.
I think so. He's based in Australia, so he's been over there for years, and of course in America, people know who he is and seen him, so they know how tough and durable he is. And Michael say he's getting the fight more or less as you can probably see his house from the corner from the park. But I say they're hoping the weather's going to be good. They're getting good weather there at the minute, so I hope the weather's good because it's unpredictable. So, but as I say, Doheny's going to come with his gun blazing because it's his last shot here, it really is. And to say he had the belt and then lost it, and he's right now, this is a world level fight for both guys, and the winner will go on to fight for a championship.
Do you feel the home advantage for Conlan is an advantage against Doheny?
Yeah, well, of course, it's going to be, now that they have the loud fans back in it's outdoors, of course, but the fans, you're going to hear it, you're going to hear them singing. And I say Doheny's Irish as well, but you're fighting a local boy from Belfast. You know what the fans are like in Belfast. They're pretty loud and like to sing, like to have a few drinks and have a good time. But they're respectful too. They're respectful to both fighters. But Conlan's going to have definitely going to have the hometown advantage.
In terms of their records, Conlan 15-0, Doheny 22-2. Both his losses have come in his last three fights. So you mentioned the first one, Daniel Roman. That was back a few years ago now. He then fought Jesus Martinez. He won that. And in his last fight, TJ fought Mccullough and lost that on a unanimous decision, so on points. Mccullough also fought Conlan in his last fight, which Conlan won by majority decision. And going back before that, Tuchel was a stoppage, and the Olympic revenge, Vladimir Nikitin, was his third fight ago. In terms of form, obviously Conlan's coming in with 3 wins. Doheny, 2 losses out of his last 3. Will that play a part in Doheny, or is it a fresh start now?
No, with Doheny, I think is his last shot, and he knows that. The Roman fight, like I was at the fight down in California. Wow, what a fight! He took them body shots. Them body shots crippled him, but he finished the fight. He started digging deep, and he pushed Roman, who's a tough guy. And that loss is like a win loss. You know what I mean? It's like people remember that fight. What a great fight! He fights again in his own backyard, and tremendous fight. I say with the guy Inut, am I saying that right? I can't get his name right. Yeah, both guys fought the stars make fights. He beat Doheny it was only an 8 rounder, which is weird as well. He should have been fighting. If he's a world champion, it should have been 10 rounds at the least. But he lost like 78-74, whatever, on the scorecards, and Conlan handled the knee better than Doheny did. But he still pushed a close decision as well. Conlan got the close win. But Anit's a tough, tricky guy. He's not a big puncher, but he can move around. He's slick, and he can give you trouble. But Conlan will say he knew what he was up against, and he's seen the fight with Doheny and Inut, and he did the job. He got the job done. But say styles make fights, and Doheny's coming with his last hurrah. And if he wins it, if he beats Conlan, what a big win that would be. For Conlan to beat Doheny, yes, great win for him because he's beating a former world champion who hasn't really shown signs that he's done, but it's a great win for him.
You've mentioned a couple of times it's last chance saloon for TJ. How dangerous does that make him going into this fight?
It makes him very dangerous because, he's disappointed with the loss against Inu, of course he is. And he's going to look at the way Conlan fought him, and he's going to say, certain things that he did that he can do against Conlan. So it's, is he going to fight Michael Conlan who's going to come out southpaw, or Doheny is a southpaw, but is he going to fight a southpaw Conlan or an orthodox Conlan? Because Conlan can switch both ways. I prefer to see him fight orthodox because I think he gets hit more when he's a southpaw. So we'll see on fight now what happens.
Absolutely. In terms of their records, I've mentioned Conlan 15-0, Doheny 22-2. In terms of stoppages, Conlan's had stopped 8 of the 15. Doheny stopped 16 of his 22 wins. Does this fight see the final bell?
I think with Doheny, say more knockouts, more fights, of course, but the punch, the strength and approach are pretty the same. But I think Conlan's going to look for a stoppage. I think Conlan would want to get a stoppage to put just to put the mark on. Okay, I stopped a world champion who's not showing signs of aging, and if he can get that stoppage, sensational. But I think Doheny's too crafty and slick in there, and I can see it going a long distance. I can see it really going a long distance, and it's going to be a close fight. For me, I know both guys, so it's hard. It's a hard one to pick and say. I'm not going to say one or the other because I know both guys, and I just take my hat off to both guys for taking the fight because it's about time that we get fights like this that could be a 50-50, 60-40 fight, and so anybody can win it. But I hate when somebody pulls off a former world champion who's a sell-by date was gone 10 years ago. Like, I'd be a world champion, but seriously, he's been done. He's been knocked out 5 or 6 times. So this is different for Conlan. Again, he's not done. He's hungry, and this is I keep saying the last shot for him to get into the big picture again. If he loses this fight, he'll probably retire. Where Conlan just goes up.
We've said it's a big fight for both guys, but just how big a fight is this for Ireland and for Irish boxing?
It's fantastic. It's like, it's the fight, Carl Frampton, of course, had the World Championship fights over there outdoors Windsor Park, which was sensational. The crowd, like probably 30,000 people over. And they say Conlan's fought at Falls Park before outdoors, but not at this level. He fought the right level guys. So, and the boxing, the real Belfast fans are real. They know they're boxing. So they know when you're fighting somebody real or somebody like this is a mismatch. They know this is a real fight, and they know Conlan's probably going to be favourite, but Doheny's in there with the live underdog, and it's going to be I don't know if they're allowed for capacity at the park or not, but I obviously think they would, and I think it'd be a great night for Irish boxing, north and south.
Absolutely. Let's look at the pros and cons of both fighters. You've mentioned the ages: 29 for Conlan, 34 for TJ. We mentioned Conlan, obviously undefeated, so he's got the momentum. Coming off the back of a loss, probably a con towards Doheny's form there. In terms of the pair of them for yourself, what are their strengths and the weaknesses that you've seen?
Well, I think Conlan hasn't really been hitting chin clean, like a real clean shot by a guy who's at this level. And Doheny can crack a little bit. I mean, he's known to do that. And Conlan's got to be ready for that. He's never been in that position before where he's hurt. All the world champions get hurt. I have to say, I was never down or anything, but I still got hit with shots. I'm thinking, what's going on here? But you got to know how to recover and how to come back from that. Where he's shown how tough he is when he fought Roman. Like when you get hit, then body shots are worse than head shots. A liver shot, most guys go down and they don't get up again. 99% of fighters who fall to the chemist won't get up, but Doheny did. He got up and the fight back and fight a close fight, which was unbelievable. One of the fights of the year. So it's a type of fight that, one mistake could win it for either guy. And I'd say the punch factor would go with Doheny. And if Doheny's resistance is gone, then Conlan could be the one who gets knocked out. That's the way it is in boxing. Your chin could go in one night. And, if Conlan hits him with a good shot, then it could be over. But I'd say vice versa for Doheny. If if Doheny hits him for the first time, he gets it clean like that, and he shows maybe his chin isn't as good as he thought it was.
We've mentioned Doheny's obviously been a world champion. He's been at that world level, and he's comfortably competed at the world level. We mentioned the Roman fight. Just how much of a part will his experience at the top level play in this? Because Mick's not been there yet.
The experience is a big factor because he knows how to gets into a fight and gets hurt, and he knows how to recover. He's did that. He's shown that. Where Conlan hasn't been in that position yet, so he's got to show that if he gets hurt in this fight, to show he can recover and come back. Doheny's been there, done that in that position, and I say it's going to be interesting to see who sort of takes the bait first and gets the attention the other fighter to see if he can hurt somebody, either body shot, head shot, and whoever can do that could be the one who wins the fight in the end. Conlan, we all know he's a great boxer because he was a world amateur champion as well, so he's got the skills to fall back on in the amateur days, where Doheny doesn't really have that. So Conlan's not just, he's going to fight at the world level professionally now, but he's fought at the world level as an amateur for years. So he has that experience too, which stands by you, of course. In a big fight, that means you can move up the ranks quick, and that's what Conlan's doing.
Absolutely. In terms of world rankings, Mick Conlan is ranked in the top 10 of 3 of the governing bodies. He's ranked number 1 with the WBO. TJ, he's not in the top 15 across any of the governing bodies. How much pressure does that put on Conlan with his rankings at stake?
Well, I think that for Doheny not to be ranked is ridiculous. When you consider the fight with Roman, the loss or a fight, and say with that one loss sort of 8-round fight puts him out of the ratings. Come on, it's a joke. The ratings is, we need the boxers to do the ratings. Pick it, but how do you get the top? How do you get the top 3 if you haven't beaten number 4, 5, and 6? That's how I understand. But I say I'm not going to talk about myself. But any BF belt I won, I fought a guy in the top 10, beat him, got to number 5. Fought the number 1 guy to get to number 1. So before I fought for the belt, but guys are not doing that anymore. They're rated number 3 in that organization, and they haven't beat anybody in the top 10 to get there. So I can't understand the ranking. So I think Doheny's not going to be worried about that, about not being ranked. But he should be ranked, but it's a joke. And say with Conlan getting that high ranking above Doheny's is high. How do you get that?
In terms of, is that a worry for Conlan potentially, because he could be fast tracked into a world title fight and not be ready for that?
Well, I think the experience of the amateurs will stand by him, but I think, yeah, you're right. I think if you take a minor belt first, you've got the British, you've got the Commonwealth, you've got the European belts. I didn't do that, but because I was over here, but I fought for the North American, which is almost similar to them as well, put you top 10. So if he did something like that, then you get a little taste of maybe the world level. But if he's happy enough to go ahead and not get a minor belt, then that's fine. Go straight to the world championship. That's okay. But I could be wrong. I might stand by him. I could say different, and he doesn't need that. Maybe he doesn't.
And just finally, Wayne, can I push you for a prediction? Who do you feel may win this and how?
I just told you. No, the truth is, for me, it's a 50-50 fight. It really is a 50-50 fight. I know most guys are not going to be, if I say one name, he's just being biased. Come on. I'm not friendly. I'm not friends with the guys, but I know them. I know Conlan, and I know Doheny. I spoke to him on social media. I met Conlan once in California a couple of years ago. He was at a gym that I was trained out of. But I'm not saying we're buddy-buddy, but, as I said, it's a fight, like I said earlier, that somebody gets a bait first and does something major in the early rounds could win the fight. And it's a 50-50 fight. For me, it's a toss-up fight. I'm not going to give a 100% prediction because either guy can win the fight. And I'm not going to be the guy who said, oh, you said that and you said this. If I didn't know either one of the guys, I would give my prediction, I really would. But I think it's a type of fight that Doheny can win, Conlan can win. And I think it could be a long fight. But if somebody gets tested each other first earlier on, there could be a knockout.
Wayne, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.